If you still value the lives of your men, surrender now. No army can withstand the might of Rome.
24,000 soldiers across the battlefield. 200,000 were waiting for them, nearly 8 against 1. An empire had come to crush them, to surround them, to erase them from the battlefield. For most commanders, this would have been the moment to retreat. But this army was not retreating, because riding among them was Khalid Ibn Al-Walid, the sword of Allah, and before the sun set over Yarmouk, one of the most powerful armies on earth would learn a terrifying lesson. Numbers can fill a battlefield, but they cannot command it. This is the Battle of Yarmouk. In the year 636, the fate of Syria hung in the balance. The Byzantine Empire had gathered a massive army under its commanders, determined to destroy the Muslim forces and reclaim control of the region. Across the plains of Yarmouk, their formation seemed endless. Infantry stood shoulder to shoulder. Cavalry waited behind them. Standards rose above thousands of soldiers, and opposite this enormous force stood a much smaller Muslim army. At its heart was Khalid Ibn Al-Walid. He looked across the battlefield, not searching for how many enemies stood before him, but for where they could be broken. Khalid reorganized his forces. He positioned his infantry. He gathered his finest horsemen into a powerful, mobile cavalry force, one capable of racing from one threatened part of the battlefield to another. He would not allow the enemy's numbers to control the battle. He would make them fight on his terms. Across the field stood Vahan and the might of the Byzantine army. They had the numbers. They had experienced soldiers. They had the power of an empire behind them.
If you still value the lives of your men, surrender now. No army can withstand the might of Rome.
But Khalid had something they could not measure. Men who believed retreat was more dangerous than the enemy before them. And Khalid's message was clear.
If you think your massive army will bring you victory, you're mistaken. I command men who love death as much as you love life.
Then the armies moved. The earth trembled beneath thousands of feet. Byzantine formations advanced. Arrows tore through the sky. Shields collided. Spears struck. Steel met steel. And across Yarmouk, the battlefield erupted. The Byzantine attacks came with enormous force, again and again. The Muslim lines were pushed, again and again. Khalid responded. When one position weakened, his cavalry appeared. When another came under pressure, he reinforced it. He refused to remain still. He refused to let the larger army dictate the rhythm of the battle. For days, Yarmouk became a contest of endurance. Dust covered the soldiers. Horses collapsed from exhaustion. The wounded filled the ground, but neither side had delivered the decisive blow. Khalid was waiting, watching, measuring, because great commanders do not simply attack when they are strong, they attack when the enemy becomes vulnerable. And then the moment came. Khalid unleashed his cavalry. Thousands of horsemen surged across the battlefield. The attack was fast, coordinated, relentless. His mounted forces struck at the Byzantine cavalry, driving them away from the infantry they were supposed to protect. And suddenly, the enormous Byzantine army had a problem. Its strength had become its weakness. Its formations were compressed. Its cavalry was being separated. Its infantry was losing freedom to maneuver. And Khalid did not give them time to recover. He ordered the attack. The Muslim lines surged forward. Cavalry struck from the flanks. Infantry pressed from the front. the battlefield disappeared beneath dust, horses, banners, and steel. The Byzantine formations began to buckle. Then, they began to break. What started as an organized withdrawal became confusion. Confusion became panic, and panic became collapse. The army that had entered Yarmouk believing its numbers guaranteed victory was now fighting simply to escape. Khalid pressed the advantage. There would be no time for the enemy to reorganize, no time to rebuild its lines, no time to turn defeat back into battle. By the end, the Byzantine army had suffered a catastrophic defeat. Yarmouk was more than a battlefield victory. It shattered Byzantine power in Syria and changed the balance of power across the region.
Allahu Akbar! We have won! To the glory of Islam! Secure the perimeter!
But history would remember something else as well. A commander had stood before an army many times larger than his own. And instead of asking, "How can we survive?" Khalid Ibn Al-Walid asked, "Where can they be broken?" 24,000 had walked onto the battlefield against 200,000. And when the battle was over, Yarmouk belonged to Khalid. The sword of Allah had struck again. The world's #1 undefeated commander, Khalid Ibn Al-Walid, created by its ARX.